Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there? Or found yourself getting a little more tired, a little more often, and just assumed, well, that's what happens when you get old? What if I told you that's not actually true? What if some of the things making you feel older, weaker, more forgetful, more tired, aren't caused by aging at all? What if they're caused by 7 everyday habits so normal, so quietly built into your daily routine, that you don't even notice you're doing them? Here's the hard truth. Most people over 70 aren't declining because of age. They're declining because of silent habits nobody ever warned them about. And this part? These habits don't hurt today. They don't hurt this week. They build up slowly, quietly for years, until one day you wake up and wonder where your strength went. Where your went. But I want you to hear this too. It is absolutely not too late. Not in close. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because today we're going to walk through exactly what those 7 habits are, and more importantly, exactly what to do instead, starting today. Now, here's the myth almost everyone believes. Getting weaker, more forgetful, and more tired after 70 is just inevitable. It's just aging. Nothing you can do about it. That belief is one of the most damaging things older adults tell themselves, because it's simply not accurate. Yes, your body changes with age. Nobody's denying that. But researchers who study aging have found something remarkable. A huge portion of what we blame on old age is actually the result of disuse, not age itself. Muscle isn't challenged. A brain that isn't stimulated. A body that sits still for 23 hours a day. That's not aging, that's atrophy. And atrophy, unlike aging, can often be slowed, stopped, or even reversed. That's today. Not a miracle. Not a magic pill. Just real, practical understanding of what's actually working against you so you can stop doing it. Researchers who study healthy aging, the field is called geroscience, have spent decades studying so-called superagers. These are people in their 80s and 90s who still walk briskly, think clearly, and live independently. And when scientists looked closely at their lives, one thing stood out again and again. It wasn't good genes alone. It was habits. Think of your body like a garden. Genetics, the soil. But what you plant, and more importantly, what you pull out, determines what actually grows. Weeds don't show up overnight. They creep in slowly, and by the time you notice them, they've taken over half the garden. That's exactly how these 7 habits work. Slow, quiet, sneaky, and today we're going to pull every single one of them out, one at a time. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which 7 habits are quietly working against your strength, your memory, your balance, and your independence. And for each one, we're going to give you a simple, doable replacement you can start using today. No gym memberships required. No complicated routines. Just small, powerful shifts that add up to something huge. And to walk us through the science behind all of this, I've brought in someone who has spent her entire career studying exactly this. If this is your first time here, welcome to Thrive After 70, the channel dedicated to helping you stay strong, sharp, and independent for as long as possible, using real science explained in plain English. Joining me today is Dr. Elena Martins, a physical therapist and researcher who has spent over 15 years working specifically with adults in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, helping them rebuild strength and confidence they thought they'd lost forever. Dr. Martins, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having me. Honestly, this is the conversation I wish someone had with my own parents years earlier. I think it can change a lot of lives. So let's just dive right in, because I think people are going to be surprised by number 1. Actually, before we do, quick question for everyone watching. In the comments, tell us, how many hours a day would you guess you spend sitting down? Be honest, don't round down. Type your answer below, because I promise you, the first habit we're covering is going to connect directly to that number. All right, Dr. Martins, habit number 1. What's quietly stealing people's strength? So before we go through the list, I want people to understand why this even happens, because it makes everything else make sense. Think of your muscles like a set of tools in a workshop. If you never pick up a hammer, it doesn't stay sharp and ready, it rusts. Your body is the same way. Muscle is expensive for your body to maintain, so if you're not using it, your body starts breaking it down for energy elsewhere. That process has a name, sarcopenia, and it can start as early as your 40s, but it accelerates dramatically after 70, especially if you're not actively fighting it. So it's not that your body is betraying you, it's that it's responding to what you're asking of it. Exactly. Your body listens to what you do every single day. That's actually good news, because it means it's listening right now too, and you can change the message you're sending it. Before we get into the 7 habits and the fixes, let's talk safety for a second, because I know some of our viewers have joint issues, balance concerns, or other health conditions. Great point. Everything I'm about to share is meant to be gentle and low risk, but please listen to your body. If you have a heart condition, recent surgery, severe osteoporosis, or significant balance problems, check with your doctor or physical therapist before starting anything new. If any movement causes sharp pain, dizziness, or shortness of breath, stop immediately. We want progress, not injury. Slow always wins here. Perfect. Okay, let's get into it. Habit number 1. So Dr. Martins, what's the first habit on your list? Prolonged sitting for 2, 3, 4 hours at a stretch without moving. Okay, be honest with us, how bad is this really? It's one of the biggest silent contributors to decline that I see. Here's how it happens. Someone retires, their daily movement drops dramatically, and sitting becomes the default. Watching TV, reading, chatting with family, all wonderful things, but all done seated for hours. So, what's the fix? Nobody's expecting people to stand all day. Not at all. The fix is what I call the 20-minute rule. Every 20 to 30 minutes, stand up and move for just 1 to 2 minutes. That's it. Walk the kitchen. Do a few gentle marches in place. Stand up and sit down 5 times from your chair. Why does something that's small actually make a difference? Because when your muscles contract, even briefly, they trigger blood flow, help regulate blood sugar, and send a signal to your body that says it's still active. Studies in sedentary behavior have consistently shown that breaking up sitting time, even with brief movement, improves circulation and reduces the health associated with long sedentary stretches, regardless of how much formal exercise someone does otherwise. So it's not about replacing sitting completely, it's about breaking it up. Exactly. Think of it like watering a plant a little bit often, rather than flooding it once a week. Consistency, intensity here. What are the real benefits people can expect if they start doing this? Better circulation, more stable energy throughout the day, reduced stiffness, and over time, better balance and leg strength just from the repeated sit-to-stand motion. How often should actually be doing this? Set a timer if you need to. Every 20 to 30 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes of movement. Even 5 sit-to-stands from a sturdy chair counts. That is genuinely so doable. If you're watching this right now and you've been sitting for the last hour, this is your sign. Stand up after this video, okay? Small wins add up to big changes. You don't need a perfect plan, you need a consistent one. Alright, now here's something even more important, because this next one surprised me when I first learned about it. Habit 2. Relying only on walking and skipping strength or resistance work entirely. But walking, good for you, right? Isn't enough. Walking is wonderful for your heart, your mood, your circulation. But walking alone doesn't do much to preserve muscle mass, especially in the upper body. And muscle is directly tied to independence. It's what lets you get up from a chair, carry groceries, catch yourself if you trip. So what should people be doing instead? Simple resistance work, 2 to 3 times a week. It doesn't require weights or a gym. Chair squats, wall push-ups, and gentle resistance band exercises for the arms are fantastic starting points. Can you walk us through one, step by step? Sure. Let's use the chair squat, since it's one of the most valuable movements for someone over 70. Stand in front of a sturdy chair, feet shoulder-width apart. Slowly lower yourself down like you're going to sit, but just before your body touches the seat, pause, then push back up to standing. If that's too difficult at first, it's completely fine to actually sit down fully and stand back up. Why does this particular movement matter so much? Because it directly trains the muscle group responsible for one of the most important functions in daily life, getting up from a seated position without help. Research on aging populations consistently links leg strength, and this specific movement pattern to lower fall risk and greater independence in daily activities. That's such a practical way to think about it. Training for real life, not for looks. Exactly. That's the whole philosophy. We're not training for a bodybuilding competition. We're training so you can pick up your grandchild, carry your suitcase, get off the floor if you ever need to. How many? How often? Start with 8 to 10 chair squats, 2 to 3 times a week. Rest in between. As it gets easier, you can slowly increase the number. And the benefits, beyond just strength, better balance, stronger bones, more confidence moving through your day, and honestly, better mood. There's something psychologically powerful about physically feeling capable again. If you tried that just now while watching, even a few, genuinely well done. That's the beginning of something bigger than you realize. Truly. Every single person has to start somewhere, and today is as good a day as any. Okay, but here's a habit that has nothing to do with movement at all, and it might be the sneakiest one on this entire list. Habit number 3, tell us, not enough water. And this one is deceptive because most people don't even realize they're doing it. Why does that happen as we age? A few reasons. Our sense of thirst naturally becomes less reliable with age, so you might genuinely be dehydrated and simply not feel thirsty. On top of that, some medications increase fluid loss, and many people intentionally drink less because they're worried about frequent bathroom trips. That makes sense, but what actually happens in the body when someone's underhydrated? Think of your brain like a sponge that needs to stay plump to function properly. Even mild dehydration, as little as 1 to 2% of body weight in fluid loss, has been shown in research to affect concentration, short-term memory, and mood. It can also worsen dizziness and increase fall risk, which is a huge concern for this age group. So some of what feels like brain fog or forgetfulness might just be dehydration. In many cases, yes, partially. It's not the whole picture, but it's a much bigger piece than people realize. So, the practical fix. Rather than trying to gulp large amounts at once, spread small amounts throughout the day. A simple approach, a glass of water with each meal, plus one in between. Herbal tea and water-rich foods like fruit and soup count too. Any signs one should watch for? Dry mouth, dark yellow urine, fatigue, or dizziness when standing up. If you notice those, it's worth increasing fluids and mentioning it to your doctor, especially if you're on medications like diuretics. What benefits can people expect if they fix this? Clearer thinking, more stable energy, fewer headaches, and importantly, reduced dizziness, which directly lowers fall risk. This might be the simplest fix on the entire list. It really is. And it's proof that not every solution needs to be complicated to be powerful. Now, here's something that surprises almost everyone we talk to because it's not physical at all. Habit number 4. Gradually withdrawing from social contact, spending more and more days without meaningful conversation or connection. That feels like such a natural thing to happen after retirement, or after losing a spouse or close friends. It absolutely is natural, and I want to be gentle here, because this isn't about blame. Loneliness in later life is genuinely common and understandable. But research has been very clear. Chronic social isolation is associated with faster cognitive decline and even higher mortality risk, comparable in some studies to more traditionally recognized health risks. Why would something like loneliness affect the brain specifically? Think of your brain like a muscle that needs conversation, the way your legs need walking. Following a conversation, remembering what someone said, responding thoughtfully, that's a genuine cognitive workout. Without regular social interaction, that particular kind of mental exercise disappears. So what does the fix actually look like in real life? It doesn't need dramatic. A phone call with a friend 3 times a week. A weekly visit to a community center or place of worship. Even a regular, friendly chat with a neighbor or a shopkeeper counts more than people realize. What if someone genuinely feels they have nobody left to call? That's incredibly common, and I want to acknowledge how real and painful that is. Many communities have senior centers, local libraries with group programs, or faith communities specifically built for this. It can feel hard to take that first step, but even one small connection can begin to shift things. What benefits show up when people rebuild that connection? Sharper memory, better mood, lower stress, and honestly, People often tell me they simply feel like themselves again. That's a way to put it. If you're watching this alone right now, consider this your gentle nudge to call someone today. Just to talk. That one call could matter more than any supplement or exercise on this list. But that's not the biggest mistake we're covering today. The next one is something almost every single person watching does, probably without even realizing it. Habit 5. Not eating enough protein, especially at breakfast. That's such a specific thing. Why breakfast? Most people's breakfasts, toast, cereal, coffee, are very low in protein. And here's the issue. Your body's ability to use protein to build and maintain muscle actually becomes less efficient with age, a phenomenon researchers call anabolic resistance. That means older adults often need more protein, spread evenly across the day, not less. So it's not just about eating protein, it's about timing too. Exactly. If someone eats almost all their protein at dinner and very little earlier in the day, their body can't use it efficiently for muscle maintenance. Spreading it out, some at breakfast, some at lunch, some at dinner, is far more effective. What does look like practically? Simple swaps make a big difference. Adding eggs, Greek yogurt, or a scoop of cottage cheese to breakfast, including beans, fish, chicken, or tofu at lunch and dinner. Even a small handful of nuts as a snack helps. How much protein are we actually talking about? General guidance for older adults is often higher than younger adults, but exact needs vary based on kidney function, medications, and overall health, so this is genuinely worth discussing directly with a doctor or dietitian rather than guessing. What matters most today is simply the awareness. Don't let breakfast be protein-free. Why does this matter so much for someone in their 70s specifically? Because muscle isn't just about strength, it's your body's reserve. It's what helps you recover from illness, surgery, or a fall. Maintaining it is one of the most protective things you can do for long-term independence. What benefits should people expect? Better energy throughout the day, improved results from any strength exercises they're doing, and over time, better preservation of muscle mass and strength. Such a small shift with such a big ripple effect. That's the theme of this whole list, honestly. Now here's something even more important, because this next habit affects everything else we've already talked about. Habit number 6. Inconsistent or poor quality sleep, going to bed at different times, napping too long during the day, or spending hours in bed scrolling or watching TV before actually sleeping. Sleep changes naturally as we age, right? So how do we know what's normal and what's a habit worth fixing? Great distinction. It's true that sleep architecture changes with age. Lighter sleep, more nighttime waking, is common. But the habits around sleep still matter enormously. Irregular sleep schedules and long daytime naps can worsen nighttime sleep quality significantly. Why is sleep so tied to everything else? Memory, mood, even the habits we already discussed. Sleep is when your brain essentially does its housekeeping, clearing out waste products and consolidating memories from the day. Poor sleep has been linked in research to worse memory performance, increased fall risk, and even changes in appetite hormones, which connects back to that protein and hydration conversation we just had. So what's the practical fix here? Consistency is biggest lever. Try to go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every day, even on weekends. If you nap, keep it under 30 minutes and earlier in the afternoon rather than late in the day. And create a simple wind-down routine. Dimming lights, avoiding screens, maybe some light reading for the last 20 to 30 minutes before bed. Any other additions? Morning sunlight exposure, even just sitting near a window for 10 to 15 minutes shortly after waking, helps regulate your body's internal clock, which in turn improves nighttime sleep quality. What benefits come from fixing this? Sharper thinking, more stable mood, better balance, and even improved motivation to stay active during the day, because everything is connected. It really is like dominoes, isn't it? One habit knocking into the next. Beautifully put. That's exactly why fixing even one or two of these creates a ripple effect through all the others. Alright, the next method surprises most people, because it's not something you do. It's something you stop doing to your own mind. Habit number 7, and I have a feeling this is going to be the most surprising one. It's the one people underestimate the most. Repeatedly telling yourself things like, I'm too old for that, or my best years are behind me, or this is just what happens when you get old. That feels harmless, just words, right? That's what most people think, but researchers who study aging have found something genuinely fascinating. People who hold more positive beliefs about their own aging tend to show better physical function, and in some long-term studies, even lived measurably longer than those with more negative self-perceptions of aging. That's remarkable. Why would simply believing something different change actual physical outcomes? Think of it this way. If you genuinely believe decline is inevitable, you're far less likely to try the chair squats, less likely to call a friend, less likely to drink that extra glass of water. The belief shapes the behavior, and the behavior shapes the outcome. It becomes a self-fulfilling cycle in either direction. So how does someone actually shift decades of that kind of internal narrative? Start small. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I can't because I'm too old," gently challenge it. Ask instead, "What's a version of this I can do today?" Replace "I'm falling apart" with "I'm working on getting stronger." It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about staying open to possibility instead of closing the door before you've even tried. Is there a simple, daily practice for this? One I really like. Each morning, name one thing your body allowed you to do yesterday, even something small, like walking to the mailbox or gardening for 10 minutes. It retrains your brain to notice capability instead of only noticing limitation. What benefits from this shift? More motivation to stay active, more resilience after setbacks, and research suggests potentially better long-term health outcomes overall. It's the habit that quietly powers all the other 6. That might be the most powerful one on this whole list, and it doesn't require a single physical movement. Sometimes the most powerful shifts are the quietest ones. Okay, let's bring this all together, because we've covered a lot of ground. Dr. Martins, if someone watching only remembers one thing from today, what would you want it to be? That aging isn't the enemy here. Inactivity, isolation, and quiet neglect are. Every single habit we discussed today, sitting too long, skipping strength work, underhydrating, withdrawing socially, missing protein, sleeping poorly, and negative self-talk, none of these are permanent. Every one of them can be interrupted, starting today, with something small. Let's recap quickly. Number 1, break up sitting every 20 to 30 minutes. Number 2, add simple strength work like chair squats, 2 to 3 times a week. Number 3, sip water consistently throughout the day. Number 4, rebuild small moments of real connection. Number 5, spread protein across your meals, especially breakfast. Number 6, keep a consistent sleep schedule and get morning sunlight. And number 7, challenge the negative stories you tell yourself about getting older. 7 small shifts. But together, they can completely change the trajectory of how someone experiences the next 10, 20 years of their life. Before we wrap up, any final words of caution or encouragement? Just this: please don't try to change all 7 things tomorrow morning. That's the biggest mistake I see. People get excited, overhaul everything at once, burn out within a week, and give up entirely. Pick one habit from today's list. Just one. Practice it consistently for 2 weeks before adding another. Patience over perfection. Exactly. Progress at this stage of life isn't about speed, it's about consistency. Small, steady, repeated action beats occasional bursts of motivation every single time. And please always loop in your doctor before starting anything new, especially if you're managing existing health conditions. That's such important advice. Real change here isn't dramatic. It's quiet and consistent, exactly like the habits that caused the problem in the first place. Beauty. That's exactly it. Thank you so much for sharing all of this today. This was genuinely eye-opening. Thank you for having me. I hope it helps even one person feel a little more hopeful today. For everyone watching, if this video gave you even one thing to work on this week, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people who need to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell us which one of these 7 habits you're going to tackle first. I read every single one, and I'd love to know. And if you haven't already, subscribe because we're covering topics exactly like this every single week. Now, if you found this helpful, there's a video right on your screen that I think you're going to want to watch next. It goes even deeper into one of the most overlooked of causes of falls after 70, and honestly, it might be the single most important video on this entire channel. I'll see you in that one.